Why don't you have a piano? I've been asked that question numerous times. Why don't you have a piano? Why don't you have an organ? Where's your orchestra? All of these things. And people assume that whenever you worship God, that's part of what it is. But what does God's word say? In Acts 17, verse 11, we find that if we're to be noble, we'll search the scriptures, whether these things are so. This is to be our standard. And whenever we look, we'll find that 9 times in God's word in the New Testament, we find him referring to making music in praise to him. He says whenever they'd sung a hymn, they went out in the Mount of Olives, Matthew 26 and verse 30. In the book of Mark, the 14th chapter and verse 26, that paralleled passages there, they had sung a hymn. In Acts 16 and verse 25, at midnight, Paul and Silas prayed and sang praises unto God. In the book of Romans, the 15th chapter, verse 9, I'll confess thee amongst the Gentiles, I'll sing unto thy name. 1 Corinthians 14 and verse 15, I will sing with the Spirit, I will sing with the understanding also. Ephesians 5 and verse 19, speaking to yourselves in psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs, singing and making melody in your hearts to the Lord. Colossians 3 and verse 16, teaching and admonishing one another in psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs, singing with grace in your heart to the Lord. Hebrews 2 and verse 12, in the midst of the church will I sing praise unto thee. James 5 and verse 13, is any among you afflicted? Let him pray. Is any merry? Let him sing psalms. You know, God could have said, make music, but he didn't do that. God could have said, play an instrument, but he didn't do that. What he did is he said repeatedly, sing. So why don't we have a piano? Simply put, because God said sing. You know, it's a simple matter that you look at that and see that's what the Bible teaches. You know, one thing that's odd that so many people don't realize, it wasn't until 600 plus years after Christ that in the New Testament worship that you find a mechanical instrument of music that was added, and it caused great problems. There's not a single Protestant denomination that began from that Protestant Reformation did not fight the battle which the Catholic Church introduced the instrument, and it caused problems, and they fought against it. It wasn't until man decided that it really didn't matter what the Bible said that they felt free to add it. Well, in the Church of Christ, we don't do that. God said sing, we sing. We don't use a mechanical instrument of music. If you'd like to have more information on this or some answers to any objections you might have, feel free to contact us. We'd love to study with you about it. Thank you for listening.